Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Nothing But Myths and Fables. And pretty much this lesson is inspired by a video I was watching. The elder Yashawamba was doing. The God of the Underworld is a cunningly devised fable. And it, got the juices going, to do a little something centered around this lesson. And pretty much the whole concept of hell was something that the Vatican Church put together, because that concept goes back to the Roman Catholic Church. I said Vatican Church, same shit. Roman Catholic Church, which Roman Catholicism is pretty much the mother religion of all these other so-called Christian religions. And pretty much what they did was they took these different myths and fables and all of that and sat there with the scriptures and concocted this whole, this whole fable about hell, about the virgin birth, and other madness that they teach. And what they did was, because the average person back then, during the time when the Roman Catholic Church was growing, didn't read Latin, because the Bible was written in the Latin. They had translated into the Latin, and they call it the Vulgate, or vulgar, which means, to the public. When the public didn't read that language, they didn't read the Latin language, they read English, or they knew English, and a lot of them were poor. They didn't have education, so whatever the Roman Catholic Church would tell them is what they had to accept, because they couldn't read, and if they could read, they were not able to read the scriptures in Latin because they were not learned. And this is why when you come up into the, I believe it was like the 1500s or so, when the Bible started to be translated into the English, this is why a lot of those men were being persecuted and put to death for translating the Bible into the English, because what they were doing is they wanted to get the Bible into the hands of the common folk so that they could read for themselves and know that the things that the Roman Catholic Church was teaching were lies. They're nothing but a bunch of warlocks. Now, the actual site of the Roman Catholic Church, right, was, let me get this over here. The actual site of the Roman Catholic Church is sitting on something called the Vatican Hill. Now, they try to, because, when you go back to the history of Rome, you had a lot of hills in Rome, but there were 7 major hills. The Vatican was not one of those major 7 hills where this Catholic Church was built on. But there were 7 major hills, and then you had other hills that were, known. Vatican Hill was one of them, but Vatican Hill was not one of the 7. So for them to say that the Vatican is Babylon the Great because of the 7 hills, they're going off because they did not build the Vatican on any of those 7 hills. They built it on the Vatican Hill, which is not a part of the 7. So that right there totally dismantles that theory that they teach about Rome, not Rome, but the Roman Catholic Church being Babylon the Great, which it's not. And there's many other things you could point out, to dispel that myth. But it says the Vatican Hill was included within the city limits of Rome during the reign of Pope Leo IV, which was a Jake, who between 848 and 852 expanded the city walls to protect St. Peter's Basilica and the Vatican. Thus, Vatican Hill has been within the walls and city limits of Rome for over 1,100 years. All right? And then when you go to this, right? But before we go into that, let me touch on this. 2 Peter 1 and 16. For we have not followed cunningly devised fables when we made known unto you the power and coming of our Lord Yahushai, but were eyewitnesses of his majesty. Because you had at this time, 2,000 years ago, you had a lot of different myths, a lot of different, fables that were trying to be incorporated into the Old Testament, into the teachings of the Bible. And then eventually, once the New Testament started to be compiled, you had other individuals back then that were trying to add pagan rituals and customs to the scriptures, so on and so forth. Just like Constantine, because when Constantine converted to Christianity, he was a pagan that converted to Christianity, but allowed pagans to still worship, or come and worship Christianity, but still have their beliefs in the pagan gods. It wasn't until about 380 AD when Theodosius, made the religion of the Roman Empire, the Christianity, But by that point, all of these different things were already in there. That's what all these different councils were: the Council of Nicaea and other council of Ephesus, the Council of Trent, inside joke, but it was an actual council. And many other things that they incorporated. But it says, "For we have not followed cunningly devised fables when we made known unto you the power and coming of our Lord Yahweh Shai, but were eyewitnesses of his majesty," because at this point, you had all of that going on. And it continues on through tradition, even up to this very day. And they have incorporated many other things in there. All right, so what we're going to do is really quick, look up this word cunningly devised. You get the word sophizo, where you get the word, which goes back to the word sophos, which pretty much means wisdom, Sophia. But the word sophizo goes back to a sophist. A sophist is someone who has a very great argument, but when you start to pick apart their argument, there has no facts, nothing to back it up. It just sounds good. Sophizo, sophos. To make wise, teach. To become wise, to have understanding. To invent. And that's pretty much what they did. They took the scriptures and they incorporated other trains of thought, fables, myths, so on and so forth, into the scriptures. And they painstakingly sat there and came up with this that's why when people listen to it, they are taken by it, because it's a cunningly devised fable. It has a very good argument, but when you go in there and you go into the scriptures, the proof is not there. The proof does not fit the argument that they bring out, even though the argument it may be a very good argument. But if the argument is not backed by facts, then it's not, it's not actual. So it says to invent, play the sophist, to devise cleverly or cunningly, right? And when you look up this word, cunningly devised, right? I'm going to do it this way. Cunningly devised. It says, what does cunningly devised mean? Cunningly devised fables are clever or skillful special knowledge created shrewdly and expertly. Yeah. So they took the different languages, they took the different myths, they went into the scriptures and they twisted this and that. And, before you know it, they had a whole, dogma that came with it. And then they, in turn, turned around and pushed it to the people. And the people just ate it up. Why? Because they had no other choice. Because they couldn't read. All right, so when we go from there, because I want to touch on something else when I get a chance. Let me go here. Let me just type in the word hell. Because I want to get one that says Hades, so he can get into that. That's Tartaros. Let me see what James. See what if. Oh, you know what? Left in hell. Let me go to that one. This is dealing with Yahweh Shai. Boom. And let me just check something real quick. Just bear with me. Okay, good. All right, so let's go a little bit more into this Vatican. Vatican Hill. I put this in the description box. I put this video in the description box. Now you can read through here is Vatican Hill, Mons Vaticanus, which you got in Spanish is Monte, which is, hill. Colle Vaticano, which is also is a hill. Is a hill in Rome located on the right bank of the Tiber River opposite to the traditional seven hills of Rome. See? So it's not a part of the seven hills of Rome. It is opposite because it says the hill also gave the name to Vatican City. It is the location of the St. Peter's Basilica. And when you look at the seven hills, right here, these are the seven hills, and then all the way over here is the Vatican Hill. So it has nothing to do with the seven hills. It's separate from the seven hills. So that kills that. Well, that was part of it. It was built on the seven hills of Rome. No, it was not. Lying sack of shits. Now, when we come down here to topography of ancient Rome, I want to just to point this out. It says the Vaticanum was also the site of the Phrygianum, which are Phrygians, a temple of the Magna Mater, or Magna Mater, which is the great mother, goddess Sibyl. And this is why in the Roman Catholic Church they push that Mary worship so heavy in there, because the temple and the place where it was built where there was a temple to Magna Mater, or Magna Mater, or the mother goddess, or the great mother goddess Sibyl, which they got from Semiramis. And this is why you see that the mother, child, and that whole Queen of Heaven worship is heavy with the Roman Catholic Church, because of the place where they built Vatican City on. It's the same place where they had a temple to the so-called mother goddess. And Jake was worshiping that big time back then. And then I forget where I got the information from, but I remember years ago reading some information on how in that area there, the witches and stuff like that used to sell their wares in that area where they built this at. But it's been so long, I don't even remember where I got that information from, but I do remember reading about it years ago. And it's like now you try to do the research, try to go back and find certain things, and it's hard to find because, these devils scrub a lot of shit. And then when you go to Google now, which is one of the main search engines, you type in certain words because you're searching for something, and what they'll do is they'll reroute you somewhere else and give you a whole bunch of bullshit. So I wanted to point that out. The Vaticanum was also the site of the Phrygianum, a temple of the Magna Mater goddess Sibyl. Now you know why they're so heavy into that Mary worship, Queen of Heaven worship. They go so far as to go and try to say that the book of Revelation 12:1, the woman with the 12 stars and the crown upon her head and the 12 stars, is talking about Mary, which is total bullshit. It's not talking about Mary. Now, Mary was a great woman. She was a woman that the Most High Yahweh chose to bring his son Yahushai through, and with his father Jacob, Yahushai's father Joseph. Jacob was the father of Joseph, but that's where it stops. She was greatly beloved, but that was it. That's where it stops. Didn't say nowhere to worship her. And when the woman said, "Blessed are the teats that you suck, and the womb that bear you," what did he say? Yeah, well, blessed are they that know my Father's will and do it. A cold cut, because she was, Jake, anything to do, worship these women, Jake is all over it. They're all into it. Any type of wickedness, Jake is all into it. Anytime it comes time to worship some bullshit, Jake is all into that shit. It says, although secondary to his deity's main worship in the Palatine Hill, the temple gained such fame in the ancient world that both Lyon and Gaul and Mainz in Germany called their own Magna Mater compounds Vaticanum in imitation. So this is what was going on in this area All right, a lot of wickedness. This is why when we go to the book of Revelation, now we're going to get to this other thing. Revelation 16 and 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs. Frogs are unclean. Come out of the mouth of the dragon, which is the Roman Empire. You know, which today doubles down. You could use that as America also, because America and Rome, ancient Rome, or the ancient Roman Empire, are synonymous. And out of the mouth of the beast is the EU and NATO, which are the allies to America. And out of the mouth of the false prophet. The false prophet represents the Roman Catholic Church. Now, the word Vatican itself means prophets of the serpent. It goes to the root word, is a Latin word vates, which means prophet, and can goes back to the Mayan word for serpent. Vatican, or vates can, which is prophets of the serpent. Now, there was a scripture that I went to years ago, in, I believe it was in the book of Ezekiel. And it actually went into the word, right? And when you looked up the word prophet, it used the word vates. But for some reason, I was trying to look for it and I couldn't find it, you know? I couldn't find it. It was in the Vulgate, though, but I couldn't find it. And I don't know if they switched it up and changed it up or what. But maybe if let me see something. No, never mind. I thought I had it. But no, the word vates goes back to the word prophet. You could type it in. You know, matter of fact, watch. Poet, prophet, poet. See, vates meaning prophet, poet. What is the meaning of vates in Greek culture? What does poet vates mean? See, seer, soothsayer, diviner, prophet, prophetess. And there was a scripture that I had 1 or 2 years ago, but I can't find it. But you know, it's no big deal. All right, so going back to Revelation 16 and 13, and I saw 3 unclean spirits come like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. And this is how they are deceiving the world. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of the power almighty. Right. And these devils, they pretty much got the ears, so to speak, of these world rulers, you know, the leaders of these different countries, and they in turn are the ones that are pushing that Babylonian juice on the masses of their, you know, citizens. All right. And this is how they are the ones that are pushing that on the world, because the Babylon the Great, which is America, is deceiving these deceiving the whole world by help of the rulers of these different nations, as it says here, Revelation 17:2, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Okay, so the America gets to the leaders of these nations, and the leaders of these nations, are the ones that convince their people, their citizens, to accept this way of life from America. All right, in whatever capacity. All right, so now let's go real quick to Acts 2:31. This is dealing with King David when he wrote about, Yahushai. It says, he seeing this before spake of the resurrection of Yahushai, that his soul was not left in hell, neither his flesh did see corruption. Now, when we look up this word hell, right, is the word Hades in this case. When Yahushai spoke, he was speaking about Gehenna, which is a symbol of future judgment, of the destruction, and the lake of fire, which is America totally engulfed in flames by the nuclear missiles and the lasers from the chariots. But this Hades just simply means the grave. But now check this out. Hades, right? Name Hades or Pluto, the god of the lower regions. Orcus, the netherworld, the realm of the dead. Later use of this word, the grave, death, hell. No. Well, the Greeks used it for a place. Even when you go into the Greeks called Hades the underworld. Underworld is what? The abode of the dead, where you bury people. You bury people in the earth. And then when you go to this word Hades, and you go to the book of 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, and the 55th verse, O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? So it was translated properly here as grave. It should have been grave in all of these. Hell, where it says hell should have been grave. All right? So now it says here Orcus, the netherworld. Another name they give it is, here you have the Hades or Pluto. Another name they give it is Dispater. Dis or dives is riches. Pater is father of riches. That's why they connected with Pluto. Pluto, plutocracy or something. I forget how do you say that. That's the rich, rule of the rich. Plutocracy or something like that. So you have Orcus was a god of the underworld, punisher of broken oaths in Etruscan and Roman what? Mythology. As with Hades, the name of the god was also used for the underworld itself. Eventually he was conflated or combined with Dispater or Pluto. All right, and Dispater, this is a shortened way of saying dives, which is riches. Dives, Pater, or Dispater, Pluto. All right, and that statue that you have at the Vatican of so-called Saint Peter, that's really Jupiter. All right, that's really Jupiter. Images. There you go. And you have, let me see, they should have a picture. Where the hell is it? Here we go. This looks horrible. Let me see if they have a better one. Damn, why is it looking so horrible? Let's see this one. There we go. See? That's Jupiter. And notice he has curly hair, curly woolly type hair. Because really, when you look at the description of Zeus, which is also just described as Jupiter, matter of fact, he is described as being Aethiop, which goes back to the word Ethiopian, which Ethiopians are what? Brown skin. All right. Let me see something. description of Zeus. Let's see what comes up. Zeus. Zeus, a god. Just bear with me 1 second. You know what? Let me go here. See? Aethiops, the glowing or the black, a surname of Zeus, under which he was worshipped in the island of Chios. See that? Told you so. Yeah, Sha'ol, yep. It's Sha'awal, which is also the Hebrew way of saying the grave. All right? So those are the cunningly devised fables that you see. So I'm going to leave you with this last one here, Acts 19:35. And when the town clerk had appeased the people, he said, Ye men of Ephesus, what man is there that knoweth not how that the city of the Ephesians is a worshiper of the great goddess Diana? See? And this is why this thing has been pushed. This mother goddess worship has been pushed throughout the four corners of the earth. And of the image which fell down from Jupiter. Now, when you look up the word Jupiter, goes back to Diopater. See, Diopater, which is Dispater, god of treasures or god of riches. From the alternate of Zeus. See, Zeus is another one. The alternate of Pepto. To fall, Jupiter, see, that's the word Jupiter. Fallen from Zeus, an example from heaven, an image of the Ephesian Artemis, which was supposed to have fallen from heaven. Let's look up the word Zeus. Zeus, Jupiter or Zeus, a father of helps, the national god of the Greeks and corresponds to the Roman Jupiter. You know, and that's what the whole Vatican Church is all about. It's all about Zeus worship. And the different deities. That's why it calls it the unclean spirits, like frogs, because they are unclean. And all of the when you break down the whole worship of the Roman Catholic Church, it all goes back to either Sumeria, Egypt, Babylon, the Greeks, the Romans, the Etruscans. It goes back to all of those different. When you chop it up, when you dissect it, you see that they took a piece of every different religion and mythology, paganism, going all the way back to the beginning of the world. This is why the Pope wears that hat on his head, which is a gaping fish of a mouth, which goes back to Dagon, the worship of Dagon the fish god, which was a Canaanite god. Pope head dress. Come on, man. You know goddamn well. Pope hat. I just put up. You want to play games? I just put in Pope hat. And then you go. You see it from the side. And if you look at it from the top, I need it from the top. It's a gaping, open mouth of a fish. And when you look at the, worshippers of Dagon priests. There you go. Let me see something. You look at the priests of Dagon, see they wore the hat of the fish with the gaping, but they used to have the whole fish just draped down their back. Now you have that. It's the same shit. So that whole religion is demonic as hell. Yeah, Philistine god, that's right, bro. So yeah, that's what it goes back to. Dagon, the fish god. So that whole religion is demonic. And this religion of the Roman Catholic Church is the mother religion to all these Christian churches. That's why they all have a piece of the Roman Catholic Church. That's why they all teach hell and so on and so forth. All right, so this is one of the 3 unclean spirits like frogs. All right, so this has been nothing but myths and fables. And if you can receive it, you can receive it. If you get caught up in the madness, then I don't know what to tell you. You're going to be destroyed. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters, the sincere brothers and sisters out there were edified. To the next time I say shalom.